James Harden reportedly being traded from Houston to Brooklyn. Harden making it clear after last night's game that, hey, it was fun while it lasted, Houston, like the city, but hate the direction of the organization, cannot play with this team. And the Rockets have reportedly have traded James Harden to the Nets. It's a deal that it involves either 3 or 4 teams at this point. There are reports that the Pacers are moving Victor Oladipo to the Rockets for a package around Caris LeVert. A lot of moving pieces at this point, but let's focus on the main thing right now, and that's James Harden, a reigning scoring champion, being traded. Haven't seen that in 16 years when Tracy McGrady was traded from the Magic to the Houston Rockets. This time it's James Harden, 3-time reigning scoring champion, being sent from the Rockets to the Brooklyn Nets. All right, we got Rip Hamilton, the NBA champion, with us. Rip, what's your reaction here to Harden joining up with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving in Brooklyn?
Chris, my predictions is coming to light. Remember early on this season, I told you that the Brooklyn Nets is coming out the East. And this right here, I was predicting something like this was going to happen. But nah, this is a big wow right now. I mean, when you look at the Brooklyn Nets, they were able to keep Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant and still acquire James Harden. This was a huge plus. I mean, a lot of people expected that James Harden was going to move, but we thought that it was going to come with them being able to acquire somebody like a Kyrie Irving or Kevin Durant, or even in Philly, a Ben Simmons or Joel Embiid. So this is a big acquisition for the Brooklyn Nets.
So right now they're sitting at 6-6, but it's so early in the season. They've had COVID issues. You know, Kevin Durant was out for a full season, hasn't played a lot with Kyrie Irving, and now you're going to get this third piece in there, James Harden. I mean, are there enough basketballs to go around? Because last time I checked, there's just one.
Well, I think that was the question when you first looked at the Brooklyn Nets, when having Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant on the same ball club. Both guys are on the ball. They dominate the ball most of the shot clock. Both guys are probably 2 of the better one-on-one players in the game. But I thought Steve Nash did an excellent job offensively, trying to play fast, trying to get up over 100 shots a game, allowing these guys to create on the fly, but also put them in situations like dribble handoff and pick and roll, and having one guy on the strong side and have the other guy on the weak side, allowing the court to open up. So it has worked. So now adding a guy like James Harden brings another scorer on this team. KD played with 2 great scorers in Golden State with Klay Thompson and Steph Curry. Yeah, both guys played off the ball most of the game, but he can adjust. Kyrie Irving played with a guy like LeBron James, so he had to adjust his game. The only guy that has to adjust their game down is James Harden. He's usually the guy that's taking more of the focal point of the offense from a scoring and an assist situation. But if he's willing to buy in and do all the other things on the court instead of scoring, then good things can happen for the Brooklyn Nets.
Okay, so Rip, you said going into the season that the Brooklyn Nets would be the team coming out of the Eastern Conference, and this kind of solidifies it for you. The best team in the East at this point, clearly the best roster. But I know Brooklyn Nets fans are wondering, well, how do we stack up against the best in the West? Because that's really how teams are measured the last 15 years or so in the NBA. How does this roster now stack up against the Lakers, the Clippers, and the like?
Oh, I think it puts them right at the top, right up there with the Los Angeles Lakers and the Clippers. And the reason why is you got 3 bona fide all-stars, 3 guys that has the potential to go out and win MVP again. I mean, Kevin Durant already got a lead MVP. James Harden has one. The only one that doesn't have one is Kyrie, but he's also been playing at an all-star level so far this season. I just believe that, hey, if these guys are willing to buy in. Now, James done played in Houston for the last 5-6 years in Houston and been the only guy and been the main guy. And he understands that, hey, I can't win a championship going out being the NBA leading scorer. I got to have other guys to compensate my game, and I got to be willing to do all the little things. If it's defending one game, if it's diving for a loose ball, if it's doing all the little things to make your team win. But now Brooklyn got 3 stars, and when you got 3 bona fide stars, especially knowing that we're playing in a COVID era where, if guys, you see what happens when it comes to contact tracing and guys are out for multiple games. Now you got 3 bona fide stars. If one guy's out, you still got 2 other guys that can carry you.
You mentioned buy-in, and if the guys buy in, if everybody buys in, I think that's the question a lot of NBA fans are going to be asking about James Harden. I know people have, made fun of his physique, what he's doing off the court, and certainly it did not work out this season in Houston. Are you worried about the buy-in moving forward?
I don't think so, Chris. And the reason why is he has to respect Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is probably going to be the best player on that ball club, hands down. I mean, when you're coming into a situation, he already has a relationship with KD, playing with him in OKC. You got a premier point guard in Kyrie Irving, a guy that James Harden respects. You got a former MVP coach in Steve Nash, who hired Mike D'Antonio, who James Harden, who's very familiar with, a guy that he was trying to get back to, to be underneath that realm. But I just think that when you got the type of the pieces and players on that team, you got guys defensively that's willing to buy in. James is coming to a new situation. He understands that, hey, you know what? When you look at when he retires and he looks at his career, he want to be considered as one of the best. And a lot of times, how we measure one of the best in our game is how many championships you win, not how many scoring titles you got, not how many times you've been to the All-Star game, but how many championships did you win. So I think this is a situation where he goes to this team, he knows that he has to buy in for him to get that goal.
All right, Rip Hamilton says this is huge for the Brooklyn Nets. It puts them over the top in the Eastern Conference and stacks them right up there equally with the Los Angeles Lakers, the Clippers, and those great Western Conference teams. Rip, thank you so much for the time as we react to the news, the reported trade of James Harden in a 4-way trade to the Brooklyn Nets. Now, these are the reported trade details. The Rockets would get Victor Oladipo from Indiana in this reported 4-way trade that the Cavaliers are involved in. The Pacers would get Caris LeVert and a 2nd-round pick. Now, the Rockets are also getting 4 first-round picks in the deal and 4 pick swaps from the Nets. So it's not all bad. If you're a Houston Rockets fan, you are set up. You got a new star coming in Victor Oladipo. You still got John Wall, DeMarcus Cousins. You also got Dante Exum and some other guy whose name I don't know how to pronounce on the list as well. More breaking news coming up. James Harden. Did you know how to pronounce his name, Jeremy? I did. Whatever. You get 4-way trades and things get a little crazy in the weeds. But the bottom line is James Harden got his wish. Out of Houston, headed to New York City. And the Brooklyn Nets, the team with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. Bill Ryder on the other side of this quick timeout. Want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.